What's up guys, Chasing Lamely here with episode number 3 of our FM24 Beginner's Guide, and today we're talking about transfers, both players and managers, and staff I should say, and how to make that work for your team. So, like, subscribe, ring the bell, share it with your friends, it will all help newbies find this, or if you're a returning player, maybe you had questions about how to get transfers done. We'll go through all of that in this episode, so stick with me and we will go through that in just a moment. So this is where we left off, exactly where we left off last time out, and we had decided that this was the best tactic we could use with the players we had. Obviously I'm not rearranging them to fit back into that, and this is what we'd like to try and play. And then we identified we had a few weaknesses, so let's have a little look at where we need to fill in gaps. So we've decided that we need another striker, because as much as Rashford can do the job, for right now, we're probably going to need a better striker than that. I should explain the star ratings here, the rollability. This is relative to the rest of the league. So, ideally, for being above mid-table, you want 3-star players in each position. Obviously, you want 4 or 5-star players in each position to be challenging for the league title like we're expected to, as our lovely friends, the police, show up once again. As I explained in the last episode, I live next to a police station, unavoidable evil. We decided that we were probably going to try and find a better goalkeeper than Dean Henderson, which is understandable. He's good, but he's a backup keeper for a Premier League leading side. We can also have a look at what we're doing here, because we need to make sure we've got the best of what we can do in the centre of midfield. Probably we're going to want Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro in there, because that's kind of the ideal. So we're probably looking for a right winger as well. And then if we have a little look at the kind of depth charts for each position, we're good at right back because Dalot is one of the better players in our squad, as we've learned. He just doesn't do that wing back role very well, but he'll be fine rotationally with Wan-Bissaka. Centre half wise, ball playing defenders, we probably need another centre half because Maguire, Lindelof and Bailly cannot do that. We are trying to change style, of course, from the vertical tiki-taka to the Gegenpress, which is what we're doing. I'm not saying they're bad players, just that we're trying to overhaul the squad, because United, what they've been doing over the last few years hasn't worked, and I want to work on that. We probably need another holding midfielder, because we're not really blessed with people who can do that deep line playmaker role very well. Carriero, we ideally need one, but that's kind of low on the shopping list. And central midfielder and support, we probably again need to upgrade that position to be in with a chance of challenging for the title. On that left wing, we're actually pretty good because we've got Jadon Sancho also in the squad. I don't know if Jadon Sancho can do inside forward on the right wing. He can. Okay, so we're good. We don't need to buy a right winger. We're okay there. We're fine. Didn't see him there. But we do need to buy a striker and a goalkeeper as our top priorities, and then we'll strengthen where we can. So to do that, if you're playing with with the attribute masking turned off, I would set up scouting would be a good start. Now at the moment I've got that handed over to my chief scout, but I can take control of assigning the scouts. Just like that, it should let me have that in control. Good stuff. Right, this will tell me who they found they recommend. You can see the star ratings down here in the corner, and you can say I'm not interested or I am interested. It will tell you here where they would fit in your squad. So for example, Fabian Rieder, probably not interested. I'll be honest, probably not interested in Fabian Rieder. Tijani Reinders might be a good option going forward, but again, 4th best in central midfield. And we can see here his best role as an advanced playmaker. We're not really using that. And we can use this drop down here to see what he would do in other positions he can play, what his best positions are or what his best roles are. But it's usually easier to click on him. We can see here that we're using a central midfielder on support at the moment, and someone's car's getting stolen. Beautiful. He's not better than what we've got, to be honest. So he would be a waste of money, especially at 20 million. But what we'll do is we'll keep him on the list so we can acknowledge him, because he is good. He's just not great. Likewise, Walter Benitez is better than Dean Henderson, but we've got 130 million to spend, and we've got 400,000 in the wage budget. You can use the little slider here so we can have more money to spend. We can have more wages to spend, whatever we really need. We'll acknowledge him. We'll go through that. In fact, I'll go through that off camera pretty much. I mean, he's a good young player for the future. You can use the rating here, the A, B, etc. for him as well. You can also just go list view, and you can kind of clear all this fairly quickly, and it will tell you what you need to do or who you need to look at. So I'll go through those. I'll come back in a second and I'll tell you who we are looking at, or if I can find a player that is good enough as I go through, I'll talk you through it. So I've just come across Valentin Barco from Boca Juniors in Argentina. He's an 18-year-old Argentine. And yes, he doesn't improve our squad massively. We can see what he'd look like as a left winger, and we can see he wouldn't be like a top player for us. But he's got really good potential. So he might be a player we want to look at in the future. He's only 18 years old as well, so a long career potentially for him. We can see here from his pros that he's eligible to play in all matches, natural in several positions. We can see he can play as a left back, left wing back, left midfielder, central midfielder and a left winger. What's he like if we compare him to our central midfielders? He's on the verge of the squad. So this would be an example of a player I'd look at for the future. I can mould him to be what I want him to be. He can spot a pass, he's adaptable, he's committed, gives everything to the cause, consistent performer, and a balanced personality. All things that we like in a player. So let's have a look at his attributes here. And we can see that we probably not going to use him as a wide playmaker. He doesn't really fit in our system. He's left-footed, so he's not going to work as an inside forward. So we're really looking at him as a winger. As a left back, probably could develop into something we can use there. And as a central midfielder, as I say, we're probably looking at using him as a supportive central midfielder, say, which is a role he apparently does well. It didn't bother to highlight. We learned a thing. He would get into our team, which is something beneficial to us, and he would develop. We can see he's wanted by Manchester City. He's got an £8 million price tag because he has a release clause. So we've learned some good stuff. So to bid for him, we can either bid for him by pressing the make offer button down here, or we can go into here. First thing I always recommend doing, ask his agent about his availability. So he says, I heard what you wanted to talk. I guess we better talk. Clearly not a friend of ours. So that's fine. I'm very keen on signing him. I want to know what it'll take to get him done. He'll tell us it's going to cost us $8 million because he's got a minimum release clause. He'll expect to provide competition places and earn plenty of playing time over a season. Not a problem. Wants a long-term contract until 2028. That's not an issue at all. And wants a wage of $42,000 a week and would gain a work permit, which is actually quite good. That's everything I wanted to hear. So we've heard from the agent. We can go and make an offer to the club now. We know he's going to cost us £8 million. That's not a problem. You can suggest terms. We could go in with a lower offer if we wanted to. So we can say, okay, will you take $7.5 million for him? And we can suggest that, and they're going to say, absolutely not. Get on your horse and ride away. So we're going to make an offer for him. They'll sit in the background. They'll decide whether or not to accept it. They have to. They have no choice. It'll come back shortly for a contract offer. I'll go through contract offers when he comes in. But let's see who else pops up for the positions we need to strengthen. And then we've got another suggestion here. Look, Moises Caicedo has popped up. Now, because we've gone with the Your World version of the game, he's not got his pre-organised transfer. So he's not joining Chelsea. But we can see he's going to cost us 59 to 88 million. This is where talking to an agent actually can come in really handy, because he might give us a better idea of what signing a Moises Caicedo would cost us. He will do a good job for us in the role we need him to do as well, which is good. He can do, in fact, both the midfield roles we need him to do very well, and that's good news because that means he will play for us regularly. So let's have another chat with the agent, see what the agent's going to say about him here. We're keen on signing. What's it going to take to get him done? It's just going to say 58 to 88 million. That's good. He's going to want a wage of £115 a week or 155, and wants a long-term contract. All that good stuff. Wants us to win a domestic cup next season. We can look at all the things we've got here. So we just say thank you and carry on our day like we did with the last one. Or we can say, okay, his wages are too high. We won't pay that. Will it reduce his wages? Or we can say we don't think that his performance or his ability merit the level of playing time he's looking for. We can say we'd like a shorter contract, or that he would take a higher basic wage and no promises, or this kind of stuff. So let's just say, can we get him to perhaps earn less? And he's like, absolutely fine. And we'll agree to that. That's good. We've told his agent we're not going to pay what they're asking for. So now we just need to negotiate with Brighton. And it will say that 58 million, the bottom end of its range, is already filled in. So one thing I would do here is I would just immediately suggest that as our first deal. And we can see here they've managed to negotiate to a deal that comes up to 120 million. Now 120 million is far too much money. That's a lot too much money. So we're going to try and negotiate that down. Now I don't mind paying a percentage of profit because Moises Caicedo is a player that realistically I wouldn't sell. So what I'll try and do is I'll go back down to that 58 million here because I know they'll probably happily take that. In fact, I know I can probably, because I have a little bit of an insight on how the game works, I can probably say that if I put that up to 6 instalments there, they'll only pay an extra 10 million, and that I'm willing to pay you 250,000, so, or let's say 200,000. They might accept that offer, and you can negotiate that for as much or as little as you want. Say they might accept that offer, they're not, they're still holding out, but we have actually reduced the overall cost of the transfer by doing that. So we go back in again and we say, okay, how about I give you 15 million over 6 months in installments, so 15 million over 3 years, and I say to you, how does 65 look? And I'll put that back down to 40% because I feel that it's important to lock that in as not going higher. We can suggest those terms and they go, okay, but after he's played 50 games, you're going to pay us an extra 16 million. And I say, okay, well, that's fine, but how about I just commit to paying you 10? Let's say if I'll say that 10. Boom, done. We've got the deal done. I'm actually not unhappy with that. It's going to cost us 70 million on this year's transfer budget, but that's a good deal we've done. Now, obviously, we want to get the most out of players we can. We're trying to sign players of that ability for cheaper than that if we can. But, you know, we can carry on. We'll see what comes up. We've got the offer and we can always withdraw it if we find someone better. Boubacar Kamara, for example. Not quite as good, but we might want to keep an eye on him, so we'll keep an eye on him. Julio Enciso, we don't really want to rob Brighton blind because we're not Chelsea. So, but he is also a wonder kid. So we may want to give that some consideration. We'll add him to the acknowledged list and we'll carry on through. And Yves Bissouma, you see here, will do a lot of the same things as it was. But he's a defensive midfielder. And defensive midfielder could be a role we want to improve. So we'll have a look at our tactics screen and see what we've got in that defensive midfielder role. We've currently got Christian Eriksen playing there. And depth-wise, we're reliant on Casemiro to cover that. We've not got a lot that will cover that. So we might look at, if I go back to the scouting screen and our scouting centre, we might look at that and go, okay, Yves Bissouma could be a good choice for us. Let's talk to his agent and see what he says. We're interested, let us know. So we'll say we're slightly interested. We're looking at a few players right now. They will want 36 to 45 million. They're in a strong financial position to sell him. Noteworthy players at the club. I want players to make matches impossible. That wage is very high, but not insurmountable. I want us to strengthen the first team squad up front. So again, we'll say, could you reduce the wage demands? We're Manchester United, so most people will probably say that. And we'll agree to that, and we'll put in a bid, and we'll go again and try and negotiate with the club. You can do this with as many players as you like, to be honest. And you can see what kind of deal you can get. They won't take 35.5 million for him, so let's say we put in a bid of, split the difference, let's say 40 million. We'll submit that, we'll see what they come back to us with, and see if Yves Bissouma is a player we can bring. It's not really a Manchester United style signing. Mark Guehi would be a great signing for us, but his best role is as a wide centre-back. And we're not playing with that, but he can do ball playing, and he can do it well. Maybe he's a player we look at. So we can also, just in case we want to do something different, we can just click there, offer him a trial if he was potentially available for a trial. We'll acknowledge him for now. We'll just see what goes on, and we'll carry on. See, Sven Botman, player I'd sign based on pure quality, but I'm not going to pay £87 million. I couldn't pay £87 million from him if I wanted to. We'll acknowledge it just to keep him on our list. Conor Gallagher, again, a sort of similar situation. We can do this all the way through. So I'll clear this list off and we'll see where we end up in a second. So we've acknowledged what was there, and we can also just get a sort of overview by clicking on players and players in range. We can go to scouted players. It will tell me all about all of them at once, and I can search by recommendation and who it thinks I should sign. It'll give you an idea of what they'll cost and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of these players, will just make sense to you why it would want me to sign them. Why wouldn't it want me to sign Sven Botman? We know he's good enough. Why wouldn't it want me to sign Alexander Isak? All that kind of stuff. But we're looking for specific kinds of players. There are two ways really to skin this kind of cat. So we can go through players in range, and you can see that Lionel Messi would sign for us for nothing, which honestly, he's Lionel Messi. So let's have a look at what Lionel Messi's stats look like. We might want to offer him a contract because he's Lionel Messi, and frankly, why would you not? We can obviously go straight into signing. We'll always give you that warning if you don't talk to his agent first. Let's ask his agent. We're interested in signing Lionel Messi. What does he want? He wants to be a star player, start as many matches as possible, wants the number 10 shirt, he wants us to improve the coaching staff, become the penalty taker. Again, it's Lionel Messi, sure, why not? We'll go for that with whatever it takes. So we can offer him a trial, but we don't really need to try out Lionel Messi. We can see here he's still good enough. Everything we want him to do. Lionel Messi will be interesting in this squad because either we'd have to change how we played, or we can use him as a right winger doing all sorts of inverted forward kind of stuff, or we can play him up top and he'll still be Lionel Messi. So he gives us those options. Let's offer him a contract. It's an absolute no-brainer. We can see here we'll start getting the promises that we can make him. Now, we do want to promise him to be a star player because he's Lionel Messi. His contract could start immediately. We could start at the end of the season if we were towards the end of the season, or he was with a club and potentially about to win a trophy and we didn't need him right now. That could be a thing. Tell him anything we want to do. We want to win the Premier League title this season, we could tell them in theory. But he just wants a domestic cup in 25-26, not too bad, and he wants all this stuff. Obviously, he wants the number 10 shirt. Marcus Rashford's got it. We could just say, look, we're not going to negotiate that right now. And we can say the same with the coaching staff. And it's Lionel Messi. You can hover over here. You can see Lionel Messi's a bloody good penalty taker. Absolutely, yes, we'll take that. And he's happy with that. That's good. He's happy with that as promises, so we'll go with that. We can go forward here and negotiate his contract. So we can look at what this is kind of what our club thinks he might want in terms of a deal. This is kind of an outline of basically what he wants. In fact, it's saying here the agent, this is what he's asking for to commit to the club. £325,000 a week is a lot of money for any player, so maybe we'll see if we can get to take £250,000. Always try and negotiate this down if you can. It may not work. He may walk away. We don't want to risk it too much. It's Lionel Messi, so we'll just say £300,000. That's fine. That's a good starting deal. In terms of a signing on fee, maybe we can say $5 million. Just see how that goes. Agent fee, if you can get away with not paying them, do. But this guy, I feel like he's probably going to require paying off. Maybe we'll try and put that down a little bit just to see if we can get a bit of a discount. Bonuses, you can use these to push things up. I always base it on how realistic is that. So, for example, winning the FA Cup, it's achievable, but if we were having trouble getting his wages down, we could say, okay, we'll give you a massive wad of cash if we win the FA Cup, because it's a bit of a lottery still. Same with the Champions League. Whereas appearance fees, he's going to play. We don't want to pay him extra for doing what we're paying him for. So, let's say we drop that down to 60k per appearance. Goal bonuses, we're paying him to score goals, but he's Lionel Messi, so we'll allow that, encourage him to score the goals. It's often not too bad an idea to have that up quite high if you're struggling to get an attacking player in through the door, because they want to get paid, so they'll make more effort to score. Really straightforward, and you can keep all these bonuses here. Suggest the terms. He's not happy, does want those deals back as they were. That's fine, so we'll finalise that. He's happy, he's good to go. You can play around. Depends how much you want and need the player. You can fiddle with that more. But just giving you an example of how we'd negotiate that. And, it's Lionel Messi. Absolutely for certain want Lionel Messi in there to fill those roles that we know are weak. But we also can do things here. So we can go to a new position search and we can literally drill this down as far as I want. So I want a striker. I know I want a striker who can play as a pressing forward. That's the thing we know we want straight away. And that will kind of narrow our attributes down. We can then pick attributes. We can go, okay, well, show me the guys who are good pressing forwards on attack. Good. That's going to narrow it down a little bit. And you'll often find you'll do that and it won't find any players. That's nothing unusual. You'll find it won't find exactly any players you want. Maybe we want to match 16 of 17. Does that find us any players? No, it doesn't. We don't want to really take the attributes down because we're Manchester United. We want the absolute best we can get and we can compromise a little bit on a few things. So that's not working at all. We're not finding any players that way. Maybe instead what we're going to do is click OK on that. And here you've got a little cog next to it. You can click on it and say, okay, this is just players who are interested. Who are slightly interested? Is there anyone slightly interested might fit that role? Is there anyone unsure who might fit that role? Or doubtful? If it's doubtful, you have to pay them a lot of money to get them in the door. But those players don't exist. We're learning they don't exist. That's fine. So we can go back to matching 16 or matching 15 or matching 14 or whatever it takes to get that kind of right player through the door. Let's match 13. That should be fairly realistic. It's not even saying that. We're struggling to find players who match all these things. Are we looking to compromise now, or are we looking to change our style up? Because, okay, that's more than half what we want. Then if we look at it, do we want to sign Jamie Vardy to fill that role? No. We probably don't want to sign Dominic Calvert-Lewin to fill that role either, because he's going to cost us a fortune, and he's not better than Marcus Rashford. We could just find an extra left winger. If that was the case, we want to get a scout report, say on Dusan Vlahovic, and just see how he looks. So we can go to report here, and I can say fully scout this player until we know everything there is to know about him. We pay a little cash out, and he toddles off our scout and finds out everything about Dusan Vlahovic. But we also know that he's Dusan Vlahovic. We can find out everything we need to know about him here, and we can already see how he stacks up. And realistically, he's probably better at the pressing forward. Well, he is better at pressing forward than Marcus Rashford would be. But, you know, he's still not quite there for what we're looking at. So, maybe we want to go for something cheaper or something a bit different. How does Kyogo Furuhashi step up? Not well. He doesn't stack up for what we want at all. Calvert-Lewin as what we're looking for here. Again, it's much of a muchness with what we've already got. And we know he's too high priced, so we can kind of look at players that way. Or the other way of doing this is to go, okay, well, let's not have a role on there, and suddenly our opportunities have opened up a bit more, and we can narrow it down by players who maybe don't naturally play that role, but can theoretically play that role. So we go to a match, you know, you can go through the match 15, 13, 14, etc. Obviously we want to try and get better than 9. So we can start with 10. Let's start with 10. We've narrowed it down to 8 players who can do that role. Let's go to 11, and we're down to 2 players who can do that role. And they're both odd choices, Olivier Giroud and Mehdi Taremi. But we might get a bargain here, because Olivier Giroud is 36 years old. He's played in the Premier League before. We know he's good enough. The thing to look at with older players is their stamina and natural fitness, and you've got to think, does he do that job well? Let's have a click on him and just pick him as a pressing forward on attack. And we can see he's actually not necessarily the best, but he will do a job. So let's talk to the agent again. Let's see what he says. So we're interested in Olivier Giroud. They're going to want 7.2 million. He's going to want money. Can we get his wages down? We can. Beautiful. Okay, let's go for that, and let's put in that bid for Olivier Giroud. Excellent. Let's start with the 7.25. They want a stupid amount of money. Best thing to do here often is split the difference. So say it's a 3.5 million. That's 1.75 million. We're looking at trying to pay out 9 million for him, aren't we? That's roughly where we're looking at. So let's talk to them about 9 million. They're happy with that. Jobs are good. But of course, striker isn't the only position we need to fill. And eventually we're going to run out of money, so let's clear this. Let's go for a goalkeeper with all the attributes we need to play as a sweeper keeper on, let's say, support for now. It's usually much the same. Click on that, no one pops up. So again, we're back to, can we get 12 of those 19 good things, or can we get 11 of those 19 good things? And suddenly we start seeing players pop up. We might want Manuel Neuer. Let's give ourselves a decent shortlist of, say, let's say we go to 14 and we go, let's have 14 of those 14 things. Manuel Neuer is apparently our best option. Let's drop down to 13, see what we get. That's a good little list. That's a strong little list for us to look at. So, immediately we can see we have options here. We can go for David Raya, who is good enough to be that goalkeeper, but he's expensive and he's wanted by Al Hilal because he's a footballer. Manuel Neuer is currently injured for 3 to 5 months, so he's not going to be an immediate option, and he's also expensive wages-wise. So maybe we need to cast it a bit wider, because Diogo Costa could be a great option here, but again, we're paying out quite a lot of cash for him, so maybe he's not the one. We can certainly scout him and see what our scouts think of him in terms of everything else, so we'll go and have a little scout of him there and just see what his potential looks like, because if I look at Diogo Costa now, I can see he's probably good enough, but 35 million is a lot of money for a player who realistically isn't much better at that than Jordan Pickford. Let's see what they're going to say in terms of what he's going to cost. 38 to 57 million, it's a lot of money. Let's try and drop that down, and we'll put the bid in for him anyway, because I'm going to teach you how to sell players whilst we're doing this, and that will bring in some more money. So we'll go suggest those terms. They want £64 million for him, and honestly, I'm not willing to pay that. So I'm going to say, how about 57? Let's see if you'll take 57 for him, because I don't want to pay his full release fee. They'll take it. Good. Okay, happy. They're happy. Fine. And we can keep doing this for every position, and we'll, I'll do a quick off camera of that, just to get all the players in every position we were looking at, and we'll see what we come up with and what bids come in, what contracts come through. We'll talk through that, and then we'll talk through selling players in just a moment. So we're advanced today, and now we get the chance to negotiate with these players we've put bids in for. So Valentin Barco, we're going to have a little look at him. He wants to be playing a regular starter next year, a squad player this year, and an important player after. That's fine. That's all stuff we can work with. And we've already negotiated some wage stuff with their agent, so that's fine. We can see at the bottom here, we have to have 8 players registered by our club in England. We currently have 12, and we can only sign 6 under 21 players from abroad. That's a really that's crippled me in my main Roxham save. Okay, let's see if we can negotiate him down a little bit further on those wages, just to keep the budget up. He's happy with that. Good, we'll take it. Job done, and then we can obviously go through the same thing with Moises Caicedo, so that's good. And you'll find the agent will try his luck. I always try and take off any promises for positions, because I don't want to make a tactical switch that works and then have the players in it complain. Now, we've said to him we're not going to pay 100 and something million, so we'll see if we'll take 105, because we already kind of agreed that. He's not happy, but okay, we'll go for 120. We'll get these bids in. Olivier Giroud's going to want a lot of money because he's Olivier Giroud. He wants to be a star player. Manchester United fans will be screaming around, why are you signing Olivier Giroud? I'm just trying to demonstrate some points, boys and girls. I would never do this on a regular, long-term save. This is not how I would look at building a squad, believe me. And I will talk about how I look at building a squad as well. Don't worry, I am going to talk his right. You can also, by the way, if you've got a player of the same nationality or a player who's played with him before, you can say, hey, you know Diego Costa really well, Bruno. Could you have a word with him and just see if it's it? And he'll be like, no, I don't want to do that. So then you've upset the player. It happens. I don't want to run staff meetings. They're boring and they're self-explanatory, and I can just honestly go skip for this meeting, skip for this meeting, skip for this meeting. And everyone's happy. Good. Right. And we've just found out as well that Lionel Messi, we've had a few other clubs who are interested in him. So, of course, Al Hilal Al Ittihad wants him, Liverpool and Chelsea want him. That is going to cause us some issues going forward, because we're going to have to battle other clubs for Lionel Messi. Now, once I've got bids in for players and I've sort of offered them some contracts, I will take a look at what's going on here, because I know here I've got 130 million to spend and I've got 408k in the wage budget. But however, I've offered out £179 million to buy players, and I've offered out £300,000 more than I have in players to buy in terms of player contracts. So what I probably want to do at this point is move some players on. And this is where we go back to our squad view and we have a look at what is, or who is, surplus to requirements based on what we're kind of playing right now. So I need to try and claw back some money, and the first thing I've got to do is look at actually, the first thing we'll do is look at who is surplus to requirements in general. Now, I said before, anyone of under 3-star potential, we just want to bin off. Now, let's get rid of the 18s because they're a pain to sell because they all have used contracts. So we'll get rid of those guys for now, and we'll look at these guys who all have contracts, and we'll go, okay, none of you guys are likely in my future plans. So we can go all the way down to the bottom there. Obviously, Tom Huddleston is a coach, so we're not looking at him as a player ever. And I probably want to keep Alex Telles for now. Everyone else, I'm quite happy to let move on if I can get a bid for them. So step one of that is always going to be add them to the unwanted list, sell for asking price, and you'll probably find that you'll get bids for them. But just to be on the safe side, I say you'll probably find you won't find that at all. We can offer them via transfer in. We can say, okay, offer them out for transfer, staff responsibilities, problem solved. Let them go and see if they get any kind of bids whatsoever. But also, we can take an individual player we want to get rid of, like Eric Bailly, for example. I've just realised I didn't offer out. I did offer out. And I can say to the agent, okay, we'd like to sell Eric Bailly. Happy to listen to offers. We'd like to see how much he's worth in the current market. Very simple. And he goes back and says, okay, I can get offers for 6.4 to 9.2 million. I think Monaco and Etifac and Fulham would be interested in them. That all looks good, and he's interested in going elsewhere. So that's all working out really well for us. He's a fringe player for us. He's going to make some money for us. Let's invite some offers then. Good stuff. And he'll have a word and see who wants to buy him. And apparently Fulham are interested, but they're currently working on other targets for the position. That's fine. We'll leave that there and see if a bid is going to come in for him. We'll carry on into the future and see what bids we get for anything. So we got more pressure on our Barco transfer from City and Real Madrid. That's to be expected. I'm not worried about a set pieces induction, but I'll do it off camera very quickly and we'll go back to transferring. This is by the by, I've set up tactics. There's a wizard for this. It's really straightforward and self-explanatory. I haven't figured this out properly yet, and when I do, I'll go in depth. I'll do a set pieces thing, but we're trying to move players on right now, so that's the important thing. We'll carry on with what we're doing in terms of moving players on and off, and you'll also find you'll get an introduction at the start of or an invitation at the start of the season to a trial day. Now, it's very unlikely that many of these players are going to be good enough for Manchester United. I love Naya Kirby, and he's a fantastic footballer, but I watch him play for Oxford City, and I definitely think he would drown at Manchester United, but we'll scout that and we'll see what we can do. You can just go to the game if you want to and watch it yourself. Very good idea if you're at a lower league club to attend that game and scout it. You'll also get a code of conduct thing, or of course in the early days. I'm just going to let the assistant manager pick that because I don't want to get too deep into any of that. So we've now found out that Alvaro Fernandez, we can't get anyone interested. So what we can do is what we did before. We can say to his agent, we want to sell Alvaro Fernandez. Is there anyone interested in that? And apparently there may be some interest from elsewhere. The club he spoke to needs to raise some funds. There's one club interested in their services, saying he's got significant potential. They're interested in him. They're actively interested in him. So we'll keep an eye on that. Maybe a bid comes in through the agent. We can look at a player like Vitek and we can do the same thing. And eventually we'll find one that no one wants, because that's always the way. There's no interest at the moment in Patrick Polak, which is, Relic Vitek. Patrick Polak is the agent. So what we can do here is we can hire an intermediary. It costs us a little bit of money, but we can go, okay, any agent who thinks they can get a deal for him can get a deal for him. We'll give you some money as a kickback for doing that. And this one, they're saying there's no interest in him, so 30 days. Give us 30 days, we'll come back to you with an offer. And you kind of rinse and repeat as necessary with this. So we might go, what's the market interest here? Charlie, again, no one. So we might say, okay, good, intermediary. What can you do for us? And again, no one thinks they can find a bid for him. And I've just clicked no, and I want to click yes. So we'll set them a challenge. And I'll go through these, and we'll see what happens. So Alain, because he's played football, want to sign Tom Heaton. That's good stuff. We've had offers for Hugill. Sometimes you'll find your backroom staff saying, oh, he doesn't match our valuation of the player. There is a way around this where you can just go, okay, well, that's fine and dandy, but I don't want him, so just take any offer you can get for him. And then what you do is you just offer him out again very quickly, and you go, okay, who's interested? There's plenty of interest in players in signing for him. You get an idea of what they want and who wants him. And if I really want to move Joe Hugill on, I could probably click here and it will show me some kind of intermediary will pop up. It didn't, oddly. More offers have been made for Messi. We've accepted the bid for Tyler Frederickson. Our director of football has done that as well because he's in the youth team. Barco, offer from Real Madrid. I don't know why it's saying that for him, because it's my job to negotiate sales. There doesn't seem to be a way to fix it. It's one of those things I really wish they'd fix. I can again just say, look, let him go. Just take any offer we get for him, let him go. And I could say to an intermediary here, can you buy the player? And I'm sure there'll be people who'll say, and what you get here as well, they'll say, okay, well, I want 2%. I can get an offer for you for tomorrow afternoon. Or some people will say, for a higher fee, I can get you an offer for him by this evening. And what you really want to look at this stage, obviously it's a transfer deadline day. You're going to want to go this evening anyway. But you look at, okay, what deal can I get for him? That's a good deal. Okay, we'll take that and see what comes in. Buy wants to know. You'll get this occasionally. People will, why you blocked their transfer? And they'll go, I didn't. And honestly, I want to have my director of football say I was an idiot, but here we'll just talk to say the finances weren't right. He'll give you a chance to offer him a number. 22 million. I'm not going to sell him for 22 million. If he thinks 22 million is a good deal, if I get 22 million, I'll be delighted. And then you'll have clubs as well, like Spurs, who come back and say, look, Yves Bissouma, he's quite important to us. This is what we'd like, money-wise. But you can also see they might want a central defender, a striker, or a right winger. And I might go in here in the additional fees and go, okay, well, you really want a striker, or a right winger, or a central defender. And I've probably got some players I want to get rid of. So how about we look at what I've transfer listed? And you can get your assistant manager to suggest players. I might go, okay, well, you need a right winger or a striker. I need to get rid of some players. Victor Lindelof might be on the chopping block. Maybe I can kill two birds with one stone here and say, how about Eric Bailly, who I know is worth about 10 million, and I give you 40 million instead for him. Let's just go this way. You can type it in as well, but I'm way too lazy to type it in, so let's just click. How does Eric Bailly in 40 million sound? You need a centre-half. I need a defensive midfielder. Can we help each other out? They're not really that interested. They might want a bit more cash for him than that. Okay, that's good. Maybe we'll negotiate that down to 5 million. And are we happy with that? We're happy. We've done a deal. Maybe got rid of Eric Bailly in the process. Beautiful stuff. And we've made some money, saved some money. Some good stuff there. So Yves Bissouma is going to come to us and we're going to say, okay, here's your deal. Blah, blah, blah. He wants to play. Again, get rid of that. And if you're looking to improve a position, keep it on as a promise. It makes the player happier, quicker. And we'll try and get an extra 10k off his wages. Doesn't want it. Good. Okay, we'll just bring him into Manchester United for that. Squad dynamics we already did in the last episode. And targets we'll deal with once I figure out what that's about. It's new for the game this year. And I don't actually know what it's about yet. So we'll continue on, because that's going to be important. We're going to be playing a friendly against the B team as well. You can, training-wise, again, I'm going to do a proper episode on this, you can just delegate that. So that's fine. Eric Bailly has been given a work permit for his move to Tottenham. That's good. So we're just waiting for the other half of the deal to be agreed. I'm not going to worry about meeting the media. You should do this on your first day. Please don't decline this like I'm about to. It really upsets people, but we're just going through whatever. I don't want to stage a press conference. We will have that. We're going to pick a first v second 11. Everyone's happy. In fact, because it's a first friendly of the season. Don't do this if you're new, by the way. Don't handle friendlies with your assistant manager. It's a really bad idea when you're new to the game, because it gives you a chance to see how players play against each, or how players, move on the pitch, how your tactics working. I will turn it back on because we'll play the Preston game on a how to set up your team for a game kind of episode. That'll be fine. Right, I realise time is getting away from us and we are in danger of this becoming another long tutorial. I didn't want that to be a thing, but that's fine. They've played each other and that's all gone really well, so everyone is happy. That's good. Right, while that's all going on, we'll talk about how you deal with your staff recruitment. Now, obviously, we've got way. In fact, this is probably going to be a good way to address some of that financial strife we saw we were in the last episode, because we have 11 more scouts than we need and 6 more recruitment analysts than we need. English one day. Right. So, in terms of what makes a good scout, judging potential and ability are what we're really looking at. But we probably need to get rid of 11 of these, and we can probably say, okay, these guys. First of all, we go to 6 of our recruitment analysts, analysing data of what's important here. But you can see we've got these 4 guys here who, if I'm being completely realistic with you, are utter crap. They're just dead weight. So we can just mutually terminate their contracts, say goodbye, and they'll disappear. And we'll get rid of these 2 as well because they're also both complete rubbish. That's how you get rid of coaches and staff and whatnot you don't need. Honestly, trim it back because you don't need them. Scouts are more useful than anything else. They're just judging player ability and potential ability. But again, these guys not very good. This guy is actually he's decent. I was looking in the wrong columns. Thomas Borman probably isn't adding value to our scouting staff. If I was being harsh, I'd say Dougie George falls short. Probably Duvel falls short as well of what I'm looking for because I've got a lot of players in green there. I might want to get rid of Tony Coulter because he's not offering any real value to me. This guy to Budner. Let's look at Paredes can go, Sean Donnelly can go. The Sasti can probably go because he's not good enough, and Keita Murray, Sinali, and that's good for now. That's a good bunch of get rid of for now. Screw it, let's get rid of Peter Schucker as well because none of those players are adding value. I only want to get rid of 11. I've got rid of 14. I can probably improve on what we've got left, so that's good. Job done. But we're looking right now at coaching team, and again, coaching team. We have gaps we can fill. But also we can see here we've got deficiencies, so we could use a better goalkeeper at handling and distribution, and we could use a better fitness and mental coach. So we'll look at our fitness coaches. They're not that bad in the grand scheme of things, but obviously someone out there has got better. Where we're really struggling, honestly, as I look at that, is a defensive coach. We could use a defensive coach quite badly because we're rubbish at coaching defending. Unacceptably so, one would say. In fact, I probably need to pick an assistant manager, which I'll do in a second. But defensive coaches, we're probably in need of getting a better one, and we're probably like a better attacking coach, and probably a better technique coach. And I've got 3 gaps there, so let's go for an attacking, a defending, and a technique coach. Just for now, I'll work through the rest eventually, but we would normally, I say normally, I would work through the rest eventually. Make sure you've got the best you can get. So, I need an attacking coach. If they've got something else they're really good at, take them. Alan Russell, for example. Great example. He will cover both my defensive and attacking coaches. He wants to be an under-18s coach. Buddy, I think you're ready to play with the big boys, so come do that. Honestly, especially if you're a lower league club, give them as long a contract as possible because it will save you money long term on wages. That will do. That's a good deal for me. I'm happy with that. That'll work. I also need a technique coach, so we'll look at that. And again, if there's someone that ticks another box, so Lee Wallace, for example, ticks a couple of good boxes for me there. We'll use him as a coach to bring him in, and again, give him as long a contract as he will take because it's going to save you some money down the road. And I feel like I probably want to find a fitness coach. In fact, I know I need to find a better goalkeeping coach. Let's go with a goalkeeping coach. Zlatan Ibrahimovic is there. I'd be tempted to. Is Zlatan still playing? He's Zlatan. He's still playing. He's not still playing. Zlatan actually finally retired. My word, he finally retired. Okay, well, we'll look at a goalkeeping coach because that's the one thing we need to focus ourselves on. And we know that distributing is something we struggle with. This guy here, Alex Brunner at Watford, absolute bargain. We'll take him, offer him the job. Everyone's happy, and we can obviously keep firing players and firing coaches and tweaking coaches until we tick all of our boxes off. And you can do the same for any member of staff. So if we're looking for a physio, for example, we can use this to say, okay, the important thing is physiotherapy, or you can see just by kind of clicking on all of the things here what your things you need to do are. And just like with footballers as well, in fact it's often easier with coaches, I could have said here, look, I want a goalkeeping coach who can just goalkeeping coach. Let's go coach roles, goalkeeping coach. Handling and distribution, so that's the thing I want to deal with there. Boom, it will tell me these two guys are your prime picks, and that's how we would pick them. And then obviously we'll do all this getting rid of players. You just click, trying to get rid of coaches, you just confirm or terminate their contracts. I think this money actually comes out of our transfer budget. So this might be a mistake, but you know, either way, I'm demonstrating how you do things in a way that is, if you're wondering how I'm doing this quickly, by the way, spacebar moves it forward to the next news item, and confirm just with the mouse does that. Beautiful job done. Everyone's happy. Let's go complete some transfers and see how that works. So Al Ettifaq have made a bid for Eric Bailly. We are happy to just take the offer, and we have done. So we'll see how it all shakes out, see what comes in with these offers, and we can see again more players have failed to attract offers. I'm going to do the scouting centre. I'm going to come back once we finally get some deals in. In fact, we've got inquiries about players. Inquiries rarely come up in my experience. So it's nice that that has come up. I'm going to try and encourage them to go. By hiring intermediary, we'll keep just doing that. There's no interest at this time. But hopefully someone eventually will come in for a player. And we'll try and move these players on as best we can, because that will all work out. And we can see here we can get offers in for him. We are honestly better off taking the short money and letting go. So we'll see what happens there. And again, we'll keep going through just time and time again, ask about market interest, or you know, all that kind of stuff. I can see there's some market interest, hire an intermediary, sell the player, get it done, say goodbye. Right, let's look at Varane first. That's going to be interesting for you guys. We've had an offer from Varane. They want to know if he's available. Rafa Varane is a player I'd like to keep, but also I know Saudis have got a lot of money, so I might say to them, well, you know what, if you pay me 120 million, maybe I'll take it. And they'll go, what about 89? I'll go, okay, well, we can talk about 89, but how about we talk about 100 million? And they're happy to pay 100 million. So we've got double what he's worth. We've got some money coming in. That's really handy. Charlie McNeil, again, if you're a player you don't care where they go, just choose accept all offers. And we'll again ask about market interest, see what happens, and someone will get back to us, I'm sure. We've had an offer of Vitek. We know it was coming. You'll have a training camp set up. Just boom, that. Fine, happy days, always solved. And we've enlisted help. You'll get asked questions about your transfers. I don't care about that, but you can ask those as you wish. Right, let's finalise a deal, shall we? Let's finalise a deal, get this done, and see what happens. We can see we've had some offers come in for players we haven't looked at. See what happens. And you can see here offers now starting to fly in for players. All of the clubs in the Middle East want Tom Heaton. That's all good. We're going to accept bids. Dermot Mee, we've had an offer for you. You can obviously, will occasionally get to accept a bid yourself. You'll get to make your own choices, but oftentimes you'll find a coach just steps in and goes, that's worth it. We found here that we are struggling to sell Alvaro Fernandez. We know people want him. Let's just hire the intermediary here. And the best deals we're going to get for him, honestly, are going to be those ones. So 7%, sure. The scope they've got tells you how many clubs they know of that will be able to make an offer for him. And what's interesting is that I can get slightly more for him tomorrow afternoon, but I can get a guaranteed fee there. So just kind of have a look, see how that looks for you. And eventually bids will come in and you'll be happy for them. And this all kind of carries on as a merry-go-round until eventually someone makes a bid. I mean, Charlie Savage, I don't care. Let's just see what we get here. We've got our bid for Alvaro Fernandez. It's a good bid, so we'll take the money and let that go. And that's going to cost us a little bit of money off of this transfer fee. We'll wait for work permits to come in. That's always going to be an issue. In my day job, I work in immigration law, and FM's idea of how that works is honestly not even close. Your chances of getting a work permit within 3 days are limited, honestly, most of the time. We'll keep accepting these bids for Alvaro Fernandez. We're trying to balance the books out a little bit, and we'll see here. We've got Diogo Costa is apparently a good signing for us with some development potential. We still don't know what he would cost to sign, but we can find that out. And again, Dusan Vlahovic, we've got an idea of what he costs now as well, and an idea just of what his growth ceiling is. So that will help us make decisions down the line. And you kind of rinse and repeat this as necessary. Players will come, they'll go. You'll take bids, you'll lose bids. It will all go and work itself out eventually, and that's kind of how it all goes. Moises Caicedo, we've finally got our work plan for Moises Caicedo. We'll confirm him, and what we'll find is that will take the money, the 71 million from the transfer budget, take us down to 59 million, and then Russell will come in, and that will affect something there as well. But if you go back into the transfer screen, you'll see this will update itself. Our total transfer income is still going to be 114 million if we sell those players that we've sold. And what we've effectively done now is we can see that this, if you hit all, it will give you the kind of balance of what's coming in, what's coming out. We can see here we've got offers for Tayden Mengi that we can accept, and that will help us out nicely. And we can accept those bids as well, and that will work out. It all works out in the wash beautifully. You can see here that 408k, we know it's going to get reduced now by 300,000 per week overall, and that we're only spending overall 65 million, which means we've got some budget to spend, because although what was going out exceeds that, what's coming in here balances that out. And that's kind of how transfers work. You just have to confirm a transfer, how to make a transfer bid, any of that good stuff. I'm sure it's a really long episode. Once they've signed, by the way, you can get the option to teach them English faster, register them in your squad, which is honestly a really good idea. Please do register your players in your squad. You just click there, and it tells you who's in and who's out, and you pick your best squad. You can see it using star ratings, and then obviously assign people squad numbers, because that makes them happy. We're not going to do that just yet, because we're still going to sign players. I'm going to wrap this episode up there, because there's nothing else for me to show you. Staff signings work exactly the same as player signings. As I say, I appreciate it's been long, but I'm trying to go through things in depth, as I said before. So, if you've enjoyed this episode, you think it might help someone out, like, subscribe, ring the bell, all that good stuff. It helps get it out to a wider audience, and that's ultimately what we're trying to achieve. And until next time, where we will be going through, trying to think what we've done so far. I think next time we'll probably do an episode on training. Training might be a good episode for us to see what's going on. And then, in fact, we'll do that. We'll do training next time out. We'll go through training routines, and hopefully get ourselves another new piece of information for you. Anyway, till next time, guys, thank you for watching. I have, as always, been Chasing Laney. I shall see you all very soon. Please like, subscribe, ring the bell. Stay safe. Have a good one.